You wake up tired. You sit at your desk tired. You scroll TikTok tired. And then you lie in bed and you're still tired. And then you think, maybe I'm just lazy. But hold on, your body's not lazy. It's protecting you. It's protecting you from burnout, from overthinking, from stress, anxiety, repressed guilt, boredom, overwhelm, emotional exhaustion, physical exhaustion, adrenal fatigue, all the things that we don't really talk about until it's too late. That lazy feeling, it's not a lack of motivation. It is a nervous system that has been in fight or flight for way too long. It is now running on fumes. You don't need more hustle. You need space. You need nervous system safety. You need to feel okay without productivity because sometimes rest is not the reward. It's the reset. I am so tired of telling people to rest when they're already burnt out. Yeah, I know. Take a break. Get some self-care in. We've all heard it before. And I do think rest is an important piece of this puzzle. But what if we could also start looking at it from the angle of, can we prevent burnout in the first place by learning how to listen to our body? What if we stopped telling ourselves we were lazy and instead looked at what our body was trying to protect us from? I'm not saying that there aren't times where rest won't help, but there are times when rest isn't going to be enough. So let me tell you something that I wish someone had told me years ago. You are not lazy. You're exhausted from surviving. Let's unpack this idea a little bit. First, let's talk about the word lazy. I want you to imagine a child who has been running around the house with boundless energy, playing, exploring, being curious. The child is full of energy until they get to the point where their battery is almost drained, right? And then they come home and they fall asleep on the couch. Now imagine another child who does the exact same thing, runs around the house, plays, explores, gets tired, comes home and falls asleep on the couch. With the first child, we might say, oh, wow, so much energy. Look how active they are. And with the second child, we might think, so lazy. Can't even make it to their bedroom. In both cases, the child is simply tired. But with the first one, we celebrate the energy, and with the second one, we shame the lack of energy. And this is a double standard that we have with ourselves. When we are tired, we see it as a bad thing. And when others are tired, we sometimes admire that energy. Now imagine that child grows into an adult and one day finds themselves scrolling TikTok instead of running around the house. It's still the same behavior, but now we call it lazy. Right. Well, I'm here to tell you that maybe that adult is simply tired. Maybe they've just used up their energy for the day. But instead of saying, hey, it's okay, you've done a lot today, go rest, we tell them, ooh, so lazy. So let's start by challenging this idea of laziness. If you identify as lazy, I want you to try this exercise. Close your eyes for a second and imagine what your day would look like if you were unlazy. Picture it. Now imagine how your body feels. Is your body energized or is it drained? Chances are it's drained. Burnout doesn't give you energy. Burnout makes you feel like you don't have any. Burnout is often described as a lack of motivation. But what if we looked at it through a different lens? What if we saw it as our body's way of screaming at us? Stop. I need you to stop. You know that feeling when you're driving somewhere and your GPS says, in 5 miles, turn left onto Main Street, and then you drive past the turn, and then it says, in 3 miles, turn left onto Main Street. And then you pass that turn, and then it says, in 2 miles, turn left onto Main Street. And by that time, you're annoyed because you totally missed your turn, and now you're pissed off at your GPS. But really, the GPS has been trying to tell you to turn for miles and miles and miles, but you kept ignoring it. Burnout is kind of like that. You're ignoring your body's GPS. It's been hinting to you for months and months and months that something needs to change, but you kept pushing through. When we ignore those signs, we end up at burnout. And burnout doesn't just affect your work life, it affects every area of your life. You push through it at work, then you go home and you push through it there, too. You might feel too guilty to relax, So you find other ways to distract yourself. Maybe food, TV, porn, social media. And it's easy to get sucked into these distractions because when you're burned out, it's hard to enjoy things. I mean, if you love pizza and then you eat it every single day, eventually pizza becomes boring, right? So you try something else, ice cream, chips, whatever. You just need to feel something other than this overwhelming sense of dread about everything. And if this sounds familiar, please know that you are not alone. The pandemic has been hard on everyone, and most of us are struggling in silence. I know I am. I've never been so exhausted in my entire life. So what do we do about this? For starters, let's ditch the word lazy and replace it with exhausted. And not just exhausted, actually depleted. Okay, so you're exhausted and depleted. What do you do? First, take some time to honor where you're at. Give yourself permission to slow down. Do some gentle stretches. Read a book. Hang out with friends. Whatever you need to do to reset your nervous system. Second, find ways to ground yourself in the present moment. Grounding is a mindfulness technique that can help you connect with the present moment and reduce feelings of overwhelm. There are many different ways to ground yourself, but here's an easy one. Just notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Third, remember that you don't need to be productive to be worthy. Sometimes rest is not the reward. It's the reset. And finally, be patient with yourself. Burnout didn't happen overnight, and it will take time to heal. Don't expect yourself to be 100% rested after a few days of taking a break. It's a process. What we need to do is learn how to live a life that honors our values, our needs, and our boundaries without burning out. That means setting healthy boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and making time for the things that matter most to us. If this video helped you, please like it and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And always remember, you are enough. Just as you are enough.